Hello, welcome back to Storybook Crafts from the Alameda Free Library. Today I was inspired by one of my very favorite books of all time, The Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keats, to make a snow globe. This is a waterless snow globe. We don't get snow here in California, so this could easily be a rain globe if you like, but we're going to make it a snow globe today. I love this little project. Okay, so if you've never read The Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keats, please check it out. You'll love Peter. You'll love his adventures in the snow. And I know you will be inspired by the beautiful illustrations in this book. So, what's our project? What do we need? We're going to make this really cute snow globe. We need a jar. Any size jar will do. I'm using a glass jar today. A plastic jar will do fine. We need to take the label off, however, so you need it to be a jar that you can see through, that does have a tight-fitting lid that you can take the label off of. Some labels will just peel right off and there'll be no residue left on the glass. However, what I like to do is take my jar, fill it with warm to hot water just from the tap. Doesn't need to be from like boiling water or anything like that. Hot water or warm water from the tap. Fill the jar with warm water, then put it in a large bowl so that when you fill the bowl with the warm water and dish soap, it covers the jar where the label is. Let it soak for anywhere between 20 minutes to an hour, and then come back and peel the label right away. It usually does the trick. So get a nice clean jar, take that label off. I found this really cute tiny one that I'm going to use today. Remember, it needs to have a lid that fits on tightly. The lid is where all of our creations are going to go. What else do we need? We need an egg carton. We need some red paint and a paintbrush. We need some white glue, and we need some cotton balls and also some paper dots. These are all the paper circles that I found in a couple of hole punchers, the big kind. So if someone in your family works in an office, ask if they will empty out the hole puncher for you, and you can use all of these. If you can't get them, you can of course use just torn bits of paper, or perhaps if you get a package that has shredded paper in it, you can use shredded paper that you cut up into little tiny squares. Snowflakes don't have to be round. Snowflakes are all their own individual shapes. So any tiny little pieces of white paper, and sometimes even blue. This one has some blue in it too. That will do. And we need some scissors, and we need some brown paper. It's just some brown scratch paper. All right, we only need one part of the egg carton. The egg carton that you find, make sure it has these spikes in it. So this is the part we're going to use for our project. So I'm going to cut one of these spikes away. That's where I'm going to start. See how I go in with my scissors? You can flatten it out a little to cut it easier. It'll take its shape again in a second. There we go. That's the only part of this egg carton I need. Save the rest for something else. There's always good projects to make with an egg carton. Cut away the bottom here, just a little bit. Actually, I take it back. I am going to need a little bit more. Sometimes I cut more away, but I only needed to cut a little away today. So I'm going to use a little bit more of that egg carton for Peter's arms. So cut the bottom of that spike there, just so that the spike doesn't wobble too much. We're going to glue it down. Yeah, there we go. I don't want any wobbling. So we're going to glue it down to the bottom of our jar lid. And I want those surfaces to stay flat there on the ground. So now for Peter's arms, we're going to need sharp scissors for this. So please either get adult supervision and help to do this next part, or just be very, very careful with the sharp scissors. We need a nice point at the end. This is what I'm going to use for Peter's arms. I'm going to make 2 triangles out of that flap that I just cut out. There we go. Of the egg carton. I'll make them a little smaller. this one a little skinnier. That's about the size we want right there in relation to the spiky part from the egg carton, about that size for Peter's arms. It could be even a little bit smaller here at the bottom. Yeah, just like that. Okay. And this is the only real tricky part to this project here. Make them the same. Which is, we are going to poke holes in this cardboard spike. So using the very sharpest tip of your scissors here, I think this is the sharpest one, carefully open the scissors, lay the spiky part of the carton down, keep your fingers away from where you are poking the scissors in. I'm going to hold the edge here and gently wiggle and poke until my scissors go through to make a slit, just like that. That's all I need. If I need to make it bigger, I'll go in and cut later. Now I'm going to go to the opposite side. These are the arms, so I want the other one on the opposite side, and I will do the same thing over here. Gently wiggle and poke until your scissors go through and make that slit. Now I'm going to go in with my scissors and make it a little bigger. Just I want to make sure it fits those triangles that I cut out. There we go. We don't need any glue for this part. These are going to fit right inside that slit we just cut. So if you need to make it bigger, go ahead. Always start small. Once you start small, you can go bigger if you need to. But if you make it too big, then there's no going back. Just fit this, gently, carefully fit this cardboard triangle right into that slit. You can sort of cut or poke with your scissors to make it fit. I'm even going to use the scissors to help poke that in. There we go. Look at that, stays right there. Okay, there's one of Peter's arms. Turn it over. I'm going to use the scissors to just make that wider so that the arm fits in. Poke it right in. Let it go through. Yay! Peter's arms are done. You can position them how you like. There is the body of Peter. Now we are going to paint it. So I have my red paint all ready here on my mess mat, on my plate, my palette. Go ahead and paint this, the whole thing. Paint the arms. They might wiggle a little as you're painting. No big deal. Once it dries, they will be nice and secure. Just go ahead and paint all parts of it, because the whole thing is, the whole top anyways, is going to show. But if you don't paint all the way on the bottom, no big deal. But we certainly want to make sure that both arms are painted front and back, and the body is painted all the way around, because it's a snow globe, which means we'll be able to see all around it. Okay, I got a little paint on my finger there, so I am going to use a wet wipe to wash it away. If you get paint on your fingers, you can go wash your hands. You definitely don't want red fingers for the next part of this project. I'm going to let this sit here and dry. I will not finish the rest of this project until that's dry. I happen to have a dry one all ready and waiting for me. You are going to need to let this sit and dry. It doesn't really take that long. It takes about 40 minutes to fully dry. So go ahead and set that aside, let it dry, and then when it's dry, you can finish the rest of your project. Get that red paint off my finger. Move these other things aside. All right, we're ready for the next step. Make sure I have no paint around because I don't want any red inside my globe except for Peter. Oh, and Peter's not quite done. So before we can glue him in, we need to make his face, and that's what the brown paper is for. I forgot to mention, not only do we need brown paper, we need a black pen if you'd like to have a face on there. If you don't want to have a face on yours, then you don't need the black pen. I just need a tiny oval here out of my brown paper. And this one, it's the opposite of the way I made the slits. The slits in Peter's body, we started small and then made it bigger if we needed. This one I'm starting bigger and making it smaller as I need it. See where it fits on there. Cut it down so that it fits onto his body. Yes, just like that. That's great. Now I'll go ahead and make those tiny details. Tiny bit. Little eyes. A little nose. And then a little mouth. And I like to add a little hair too. So just around the top of the brown there. There's Peter's face. I'll go ahead and glue that on. Tiny bit of glue on the opposite side. There we go. Wrap it around and stick it on. There's Peter. He's done. He's ready to go in his box, or his globe. Okay, we're ready to make the rest of the snow globe. We're going to start with the bottom here of our our jar lid. And I will start by putting in Peter. So he's going to go in first. Actually, you know what? I take it back. I'm going to start with a little bit of snow underneath Peter. So take one of these cotton balls and gently unravel it. And we'll start with just a little layer of snow on the bottom, just like that. So we need a little glue on the bottom there. We'll lay this down. There we go. Now I got a snowy bottom. Okay, snowy lid. The bottom of my lid, rather. Okay. And a little glue on the bottom of Peter here. Stick it right in the middle. There we go. Okay. And let's get some more snow around him. Unravel your cotton ball a little bit there, just the way you want it to look. You might need a little bit more glue to really stick it in there. There we go. And it's important to not get too much glue on Peter because the red paint might bleed a little bit into the cotton ball or onto your fingers. So really go carefully here as you place these cotton pieces on the jar lid around Peter. We're nearly done. Okay, and I might do just a little bit more. Like I only needed one cotton ball for this tiny little jar. If you have a larger jar, you're probably going to need at least 3 or 4 cotton balls. Maybe even more if you have a really big jar. Okay, that's great. And we don't really need to let this dry before we put in the snow because I've covered up pretty much every surface that had glue on it. Peter's face is still a little wet, but I don't think it's wet enough that any of those will stick. Okay, well, it's not 5 o'clock where you are, or 4:45 where you are, but it is 4:45 where I am. Sorry for that interruption. Here we are. I'm going to put the snow inside the jar. Put as much or as little as you like. This is a tiny jar and I don't want all the snow to cover Peter, so I'm not using all my holes there, all my circles rather. I might even use only that much because I don't want it to cover him up. When I first did this one I had too much in there and it covered Peter right up, so use as much of it or as little as you like. This is just enough, just that much. Now I can gently and carefully put Peter inside the jar, close it up nice and tight, and there's my snow globe! It's so cute! I love it, and I love to play with it because every time is different. There's a different amount of snow each time I shake it. Yay! Have fun making your snow globe. Read that book, The Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keats. It's fabulous. And now you have this great reminder. Take care and see you next time on Storybook Crafts.